obviously the red card changes the dynamics of the contest, but I'm proud of the lads for sticking in there. Obviously, it's flipped on its back towards the end of the game with them then getting 2 red cards, which will be big moments for them moving forward. I would think that potentially it hurts Madison. Maybe it doesn't. But yeah, very proud of the boys. You know, I can never
take a selfie for the Instagram.
Never fault them for their effort. They always leave it.
I haven't been good at doing that lately with all the technical difficulties.
And the team has been in solid form for these last couple of matches. What are some of the things that you've learned about your squad in that time frame?
Yeah, I think some of the messages that we've sent to the team at the beginning of the season are that, you know, everybody's going to have a role to play, you know, and then injuries start coming along, suspensions start coming along, and that starts to become a reality. But sometimes when you're a player and you don't get the direct benefits, you know, sometimes you don't know what role you have to play until you have to play it. So, you know, for example, Kyle McDowell's come in the last couple of games and he's done absolutely fantastic. Callum's been in and out of the team this season, but in this form that he's in right now, it's very hard to keep him out of it. You know, we've had suspensions to Jordan Skelton. We were still able to grab the points. We've had injuries to Big Jalen Chrysler and still able to grab the points. We've been missing Jamesy Thomas for weeks, but still able to grab the points, you know. So we've had to use everybody and everybody's had to play their role. But I feel as though everybody's bought into the systems that we're trying to play. Everybody's bought into our values within the team as well. So, you know, when you have committed individuals, you know, good things are going to happen at some point, and then we're getting a little bit of rub of the green as well, you know. So a lot of players starting to really peak at this point in the season, and it's the business end of the season. So if there's ever a time to peak, now is that time.
Absolutely, and the team has been fun to watch in these last couple of games, but with as long as the season runs, there's bound to be a lot of changes and surprises. What are some of the surprises you've encountered this season, and what did you take away from those experiences?
Yeah, I mean, there's been many curveballs thrown at us. I think the biggest curveball was probably the refereeing decisions. I felt as though that, you know, pushing from college into the professional level, that you know, we would be faced with more professional referees, and so that's been a big bit of a surprise. And the players have to change sometimes and adapt their game pending the referee, and the coaches have to, you know, change systems sometimes pending the referee, or you know, and that shouldn't be the case. We should be able to play and coach without having to change game to game because the referee's opinion changes game to game. So, listen, I also think that we have referees who are trying their best. So I'm not trying to humiliate anybody here. It's just it's very from one end to the other, from game to game. It's almost two different sports at times. But I do feel as though that, you know, each referee that's came to us, or even on the road, they are trying their best and they are giving everything that they have. You know, it's just there's a lot of differences in opinions out there, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is definitely one thing you can notice from up in the press boxes. It seems to always be a different game out there. And with the vast changes that happen between referee to referee that can unfortunately occur, what is the message that you give to the players in those kinds of situations? Yeah, I was so
again, you know, we feel as though that we as a club treat the players really, really well. And the reason for that is we want to treat them like human beings and not business commodities, right? And so I feel as though that should be our view on people that are in the centre as well. They're human beings, right? And they're going to make mistakes and they're going to act like human beings. So we ask our players to treat the referees like human beings, because they are. And we also try to talk to them about, listen, you know, referees are not there to score goals for us, right? And they're not there to keep clean sheets. That's our job. So when those things don't go well for us, it's important that we don't push the blame onto referees for teams that are scoring goals against us. It's up to us to keep the clean sheets. That's a quality from a player's perspective and from our team perspective. And then scoring the goals as well. If we're not scoring the goals, the last thing that we want to do is blame the referee. So we still are in control of the game. Now, refereeing decisions have big moments and various impacts on the flow of the game, right? But it's us as players. If we do the right things, we'll score the goals. And if we do the right things, we'll keep the clean sheets. And ultimately, that wins the game. Big decisions like, players being sent off, that's a tester. And I feel as though out with One Knox, just the incredible amount of wrong decisions with red cards that have been rescinded this year is crazy, right? And red cards get rescinded, so people are seeing, yeah, that's a mistake, and that's just been too much. It's been way too much this year. So, but listen, they're human beings. We've got to treat them like human beings, and we also got to hold ourselves accountable and not pass responsibility to them. If they make mistakes, fair enough, but they're not responsible for scoring our goals. We are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the team has just had great composure and seemed to be very accountable, very responsible throughout this last stretch of the season as it's really started to come together for you guys. But very exciting match coming up, and there's sure to be lots of excitement coming back to Knoxville. How good does it feel to be able to come back and play in front of the home fans again?
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's exciting. Obviously, Greenville have a really good tradition in USL 1 as well. Obviously, their coach is a former national team captain, and John Hart. So exciting to coach against him. And then just the tradition of the club. They've always been a playoff club. So the fact that we are right neck and neck with that type of team, with that type of history, when we have no story to tell, these are the moments that make our stories, right? So hopefully come Saturday night, we'll have a good story to tell. We're 1-1 in the series with, and both of them happened at their field. Really excited for Saturday. The lads are training really well right now. The atmosphere in the camp is really, really good. And, win, lose or draw, I know that, regardless of the result, I know my boys are going to give everything that they have in the locker.
Mm-hmm. And what will be the keys to winning this one and walking away with the points here?
Scoring more goals than our opponents, Dom. Come on. You know that one, right? I think, we've played two different systems against Greenville, and Greenville have talented players all over the field. I honestly feel as though sometimes these contests comes down to who wants it more, because these teams are very evenly matched in terms of quality and in terms of the types of players that we have. So I feel as though that if we show up in our numbers and we don't have any passengers and we fulfill our potential, then I think we stand a very chance to take points. I feel as though the team that wants it and goes the extra wee bit of distance, covers a wee bit more ground and gives a wee bit more appetite and desire to win, probably that's a team that maybe gets the result.
Knowing your side, I'm quite confident that you will have the team who wants it more out there. Very much looking forward to that match. Thank you very much for joining me today. Always a pleasure, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks for having me, Dom. Appreciate you as well. Talk to you soon.
That was our weekly interview with One Knox SC head coach Mark McKeever, and that was Dominic, who we have in the studio today, talking to Coach McKeever. And yeah, as they kind of mentioned in that interview, they're coming up on their match with Greenville this Saturday here at 7:30 here in Knoxville. I know that's the same time as the Florida game, but if you are not going to Florida, you should go out there and still check out One Knox over at Regal Soccer Stadium. We thank Coach McKeever so much for coming in and talking to us. And yeah, go One Knox. Anything else for Dom or Jackson?
I think Dom, from the interview, wrapped up a lot of things. So, you got anything else to add, Dom? Or
No, it's always a pleasure to hear from him. I mean, he's always got so many good things to say. It's about soccer or about life. You can always get it.
Yeah, he's definitely a character that come on, Dom, we know this is a scoreboard for another team. That's absolutely right. Excellent wisdom from Coach McKeever and absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much getting, so much great sports going on throughout this upcoming weekend. So much great UT sports going on as well, guys. Right?
Yeah, it's a great time to be all, as always.
Question number 2, the art of child.
Specifically about the volleyball soccer game, which has been great this last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, UT Lady Ball soccer team has been excellent. They played really well against Florida Atlantic, coming away with a 2-0 shutout victory where they dominated the time of possession significantly against the Owls. And now will be in Knoxville. They're going to play the Arkansas Razorbacks first SEC game this Friday night at Regal Soccer Stadium. After that, they then have another home game next week against big-time rival Florida Gators. Another match against Florida that a Tennessee sports team is going to play coming up soon. So those are some big games to go out and support. The Lady Balls are playing excellent. Also, the Lady Balls volleyball team is playing absolutely fantastic. There's more buzz about this volleyball team this year because they look absolutely legit right now. They're right now only one loss on the season. That one loss was to the number 1 ranked Wisconsin Badgers on the road after they had already traveled to San Diego, California. Tennessee was away from home for 2 weeks. They traveled out west to San Diego. Then they had to go travel to Madison, Wisconsin right after to play the Badgers. And they come away with a very close 5-set loss. That's a game that could have gone either way. So the fact that Tennessee was able to take toe-to-toe with Wisconsin, that really impressive. And then they returned. Then they continued their road trip. They go on the road against Marquette and dominate the Golden Eagles 3-0. And basically they sweep Marquette. And they look really, really impressive. So after that, Tennessee has just continued to shoot up the rankings, and now they are number 15, which is the highest they've been in multiple years. I got to talk to head coach Steve Rockenblatt, and he's very excited about the potential of this team. There's a lot of star players in this team, but the Lady Balls have Morgan Fingal back as a senior, and she actually won a National Player of the Week award for her excellent play last week. And they have many other returning players. They also have a redshirt freshman who is a setter, and that's a very important position on the volleyball team. Amazing that they trust her. Her name is Kerr, Caroline Kerr. Amazing that they trust her as a setter, as a redshirt freshman. But according to Eve Rockenblatt, who was redshirted last year, she played like she was a starter. She is absolutely ready for this moment, and the team is just rocking and rolling right now. They are playing so well, and they're going to be playing, a couple more matches tomorrow and Friday at home after being on the road for the last 2 weeks and no SEC plays.
Yeah, that volleyball team really is something special. And having had the couple on multiple occasions, I've just been so impressed with the level of talent that's on that team. How do you guys feel out there in Newcastle?
Yeah, absolutely. The volleyball team, one of the things you mentioned, definitely super excited for that. And of course, the soccer team, as you guys were also talking about, those games are always so fun to go to. Exact same place as One Knox soccer team. So both of these things coming up, maybe not one of the sports that you think about when you think of UT sports, but these are both very I would say sports that are on the rise, especially with this soccer team. They had they were really good about 2 years ago with their old coach Brian Pinsky, and they came in with new coach Joe Kurt, and they're not rebuilding, but kind of making some adjustments. But they look really exciting to watch, and so is the volleyball team as well.
The Lady Balls, they've had a phenomenal run. Of course, with the games to Indiana and the Highlanders, they were falling behind, and then proceeded to kind of take that adversity and come back from that to tie it with Indiana. And then for the Highlanders, for Radford, come back and win the game. They were down. Radford had scored a goal not even a minute into the game, and then the Lady Vols were able to take that and then turn it into a 3-1 victory for them. So there's something very special about this team.
Absolutely. And we are going to take it to break here really quick. We're going to come back and talk about some college football. We have a lot to talk about with that. So we'll be back. Stay tuned to Volunteer Radio, WTK 90.3, The Rock. This is Rock Solid Sports.
The Rock thanks Fieldhouse Social, Wednesday home for Rock Solid Sports for their support. American craft food, beer, and cocktails, plus a 25-foot big screen at University Commons Way. Fieldhouse Social welcomes sports fans and others alike to enjoy dishes like citrus marinated chicken, grilled Faroe Island salmon, and smoked ribs. FieldhouseSocial.com or on Twitter and Facebook.
Rock thanks the One Knox Sporting Club soccer team for their support. One Knox plays all of their home matches at Regal Soccer Stadium on campus, and the season runs into October with matches against Memphis, Chattanooga, Lexington, and more USL League One opponents. Tickets, including UT student tickets and game day info, is at oneknoxsc.com. WTK is proud to be a media partner with One Knox. Rock Solid Sports will be keeping up with One Knox Soccer all season long. One Knox SC. We are one.
Volunteer Radio thanks the UT Athletic Department and the men's basketball program for their support. Coach Barnes' 9th season on the Summit includes home games against Kentucky, Vandy, and more at Thompson Bowling Arena. Allballs.com. Student ticket info and login is at bigorangetics.utk.edu. That's TIX. Volunteer Radio says, Go Vols Basketball!
Volunteer Radio receives support from Tennessee Smokies Baseball, the AA Southern League affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, whose 2023 regular season schedule features 6-game homestands Tuesdays through Sundays. Braves, Birmingham Barons, and more. WUTK's Rock Solid Sports covers Smokies Baseball all season long. SmokiesBaseball.com. Link up at WUTKRadio.com.
Knoxville, be sure to tune in Wednesday nights from 8 until 10 p.m. for The Alternative, sponsored by Bliss and Corey Mason Shoes on Gate Street and West Town Mall. And Bliss Home with the Gallery Shopping Center, also sponsored by Boyd's Chicken Grill Bar and Live Music Venue in the heart of Knoxville's Old City. The Alternative features 2 hours of the best in Americana music from the station who first brought Knoxville music by bands from back in the alt-country days, like the Jayhawks, Uncle Tupelo, Steve Earle, and Jason and the Scorchers, to 90s Americana like the B-Boys, Whiskey Town, Lucinda Williams, Sunvold, and others, to modern-day Americana musicians like Molly Tuttle, Tyler Childers, Casey Musgrave, Sturgill Simpson, Billy Strings, and the Punch Brothers. You'll also get classic Americana like Johnny Cash, the band, and Emmylou Harris, and there's always Patsy Cline at 9. Tune in Wednesday nights at 8 for The Alternative. Sponsored by Boyd's Chicken Grill, Bliss Home, and Corey Mason Shoes, and only on 90.3 The Rock, UT's College of Rock.
Hey, this is Cooley from the Drive By Truckers. You listen to 90.3 WUTK Knoxville.
WUTK thanks Cool Beans, 1817 Lake Avenue, 1 block south of the Strip, for sponsoring and hosting the Monday night Rock Solid Sports broadcast at 7 p.m. Cool Beans is the pregame and postgame location for UT football, and Knoxville's home for the NFL Sunday Ticket, Titans football on the big screen, and more. Rock Solid Sports kicks off Monday Night Football with the show's live broadcast from 7 to 8 Monday nights at Cool Beans. Cool Beans is 21 and over after 9 p.m. with a full and late night menu. CoolBeansBar.com or their Facebook page.
90.3 The Rock thanks the UT Athletic Department for their support. The 2023 football Vols will play home games at Neyland Stadium against SEC rivals South Carolina, Georgia, Texas A&M, and others. Allballs.com for info, with a link at WUTKRadio.com. UT student ticket info is at bigorangetics.utk.edu. 90.3 The Rock says, Go Balls!
The Rock thanks the UT Athletic Department and the Lady Vols volleyball program for their support. The 2023 Lady Vols volleyball team will face off on the court against Chicago State Thursday, September 14th at 6:30 p.m. at Thompson Bowling Arena. The public is invited to attend and cheer on the Lady Vols against Chicago State. Stay tuned to Rock Solid Sports for more UT Lady Vols volleyball info.
utsports.com, and the link is at wtkradio.com. The Rock says good luck, Lady Balls volleyball.
The Rock thanks Knoxville Ice Bears Southern Professional Hockey League team for their support. Their 2023-24 home ice season from October through April includes games with Fayetteville, Huntsville, Roanoke, and more at the Civic Coliseum downtown. Single game and season tickets at KnoxvilleIceBears.com. Rock Solid Sports features Ice Bears Wednesdays with news and updates. Volunteer Radio says, go Ice Bears!
Okay, welcome back to Rock Solid Sports. It's Wednesday night. I'm Chloe. I'm with Jackson at Fieldhouse Social, our sponsor for tonight at 2525 University Commons Way. For their support, we thank them for their support. American craft food, beer, and cocktails. A 21-foot digital big screen TV indoors, and plenty more TVs throughout the restaurant, and a back patio open at 11 a.m. Wednesdays through Sundays and open at 4 p.m. on Mondays and Tuesdays. We're going to get right into things. Tennessee went down 3 spots in the AP poll to number 11, and in my opinion, rightfully so. I think in most of our opinions as well. The Vols were favored by around 49 points and won by only 17. They had a late touchdown as well, so they were still going all the way till the end. They needed it. There's a lot of reasons that we can talk about why this is. Of course, a lot of people talk about that starting center. Cooper Mays is still out after it was announced before the season even started that he would be out, unfortunately. So let's just stay here for a minute and talk about the Vols game versus Austin Peay. We talked about it. They talked about it a little bit on the Monday show, I know, but I mean, without, using some choice words about what you were thinking at this game, besides, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? Let's just dive in and actually talk about what we think genuinely happened. And after that, do we think, after seeing that game, genuinely that the Vols have a chance against Florida?
For me personally, I'm always going to think that the Vols have a chance when they're coached under Josh Heupel, especially against Florida. This Florida team is so down in the dumps right now under Billy Napier, and they look terrible. We really, really should win this one. And I know that all of us Vol fans have this little issue when it comes to Florida, where no matter how the season's going, no matter what we're doing, no matter what they're doing, we are scared of them. And it's bad, just with the recent history of losing a lot of games to them and being down for so long. I think it's time that this program starts holding its head a little bit higher. Florida's down right now, and Josh Heupel's not going to let his team live in the past. We've seen that before. We've won against teams that we thought unbeatable. We beat Bama, so we definitely got a chance in the swamp. But as for what went wrong in that Austin Peay game, there's a lot we can get into, of course. Obviously, receivers dropped a lot of passes, but even though Joe Milton threw a lot of catchable balls, it's bad when your quarterback doesn't throw precise balls to start the game, just because the receivers need to get confident under this new offense with Joe Milton at the helm. And without consistency, it's going to be really hard to do that. And that lack of confidence from both Joe and the receivers is going to be difficult to deal with. And hopefully the string of completions through screen passes helps build that confidence. But I think that we kind of need to let the offense loose a little, try a bit more deep balls. And I think just the it factor for this season is Joe needs to not play afraid, because I feel like he just plays a little bit too much in his head. And every single decision he makes, he second guesses right before he does it. He just seems to have a little bit of latency in the pocket. It's just a little bit slow on the delivery. And I love the guy. I think he's phenomenal. But that's the only thing I'm worried about with him.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head right there. The offense was just, I had said from the Virginia game, the first quarter looked rusty, but for this, it looked as though like the whole half was rusty, or for the entire first half. And if I were to give credit, I will say they did start to pick up a little bit in the second half, not by what I think a lot of people wanted it to be, but they at least picked it up a little bit. And I will also give my praise to the defense. I think they were able to hold pretty well, having to go out there. I also saw a thing as the game was going on, I had seen at half that Tennessee had only had possession of the ball for 5 minutes of the entire half, whereas Austin Peay had the rest of it. So I don't know. It felt as though they weren't exactly like doing anything with the ball. They were just kind of throwing it around and then just throwing their
That
heads up and saying, "Oh, we'll just punt it."
I mean,
it just didn't translate to anything.
yeah, I definitely believe that because one, of course, usually people believe that because Tennessee is such a quick offense, but I believe that Austin Peay had the ball for so long because it was like every time they had a chance to convert on third down, they did literally every time, or at least that's how I remember it. And I was most times at least. And that was just so frustrating to watch because I don't know, as much as I want to blame the officials for this game, Tennessee, the way the Vols played has much as a part to do with that. Although I was quite, I understood. Let me just say, I understood why they stopped replaying the replays there because it was about to get bad. Angry fans, absolutely. The vibes were not there. The vibes were not good. So I understand that. But that being said, I was still very angry with how it was. I don't think that some of those calls, and I'm not talking about like the penalties, I'm talking really just about, different things like where I forgot who it was, caught the ball on the 1 yard line and they replayed it. And it was like, he caught it like this high above the ground and he wasn't even close to being on the ground yet. It was like things like that. I'm like, that shouldn't be even being reviewed.
That was one where I think they actually got it right.
You think they got it right?
It looked like he dropped it. It looked like it hit the ground.
I didn't think it looked like it hit the ground at all. I thought it looked like it was like a foot off the ground when he recovered it.
The fumble was a terrible call, but I think that one was one of the right ones.
I will say I do agree with Chloe that I think the refs did get a little bit too involved in the game. Obviously, I think a lot of those penalties were legitimate. I mean, Tennessee was making just a lot of error after error after error of just false starts, bad penalties like that on the line, which I believe if our senior veteran center Cooper Mays is on the line, I do believe those kinds of penalties just don't happen as often. That's how key a center is as a leader on that offensive line. But at the end of the day, Tennessee played so undisciplined. But I do want to say I do see a lot of positives. A lot of people focusing on the negatives, and it's understandable, obviously. But I'm kind of looking at the positive aspect of, okay, Tennessee did not play well at all. They still won by 17, even with a late score. And I truly believe the coaches are probably chewing out the players, getting them so disciplined.
I think they did.
Because, absolutely. And I
think they had like a meeting.
Yeah, and I heard there's even a players-only meeting, which is fantastic because that shows initiative from our great players. And they're going to have to head into the swamp at night. And yes, I think Florida is terrible this season. I think,
but it's
Billy
something about the
Napier-
swamp, like that
Yeah,
has not seemed to matter since 2003.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like I think Florida is bad. I don't think Napier lasts the whole season. Just in my personal opinion, I don't think he lasts the whole season. I think Florida's going to have a disastrous year. But going into the swamp at night in a nighttime SEC game, not including Vanderbilt, is always so tough to do. No matter who the opponent is, because all these teams at the end of the day are so talented, and the environment and the atmosphere is going to be so hard. However, I truly believe Tennessee will play the most focused, the most disciplined they've played probably ever, and will end up dominating Florida in this game. I feel pretty good about that. And I will say, Austin Peay's quarterback, I was pretty impressed by the way he played. I thought he played really, really well. So I think that was a huge part of the Governor's success in that game.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Go ahead, Dom.
I was just going to say, admittedly, Austin Peay did play a very solid game. They came in with a really good game plan for what they were trying to do. Just lots of trick plays, lots of different
That
stuff
coach was
happened.
annoying, though.
He was. I despise their coach, but he was making a lot of the right calls to try and make that game miserable for us. Which, if you're the small program coming in, I totally get that mindset, and you kind of have to respect it, although you cannot respect the way that the players acted on the field. That was a whole other thing that did not look great. But, I mean, the trick plays, they had a lot going for them, and then the coach using the timeouts anytime he got momentum,
it was played well.
I think the big takeaway from this game is just kind of for the Vols to kind of stop. It felt as though that game they were just continuously shooting themselves in the foot. Whenever something like they would start to get momentum and all that, something untimely would happen. Whether it's just stalling out on a drive or an untimely fumble, I believe a bogus fumble at that. It just felt as though they just kind of needed to cut back a little bit on the mistakes, especially in opportune times after they get some momentum, just so that they kind of ride that momentum instead of just having it fizzle out.
Yeah, I think that this is one of those games, hopefully we'll look back and just think, oh, that was more of an off game for Tennessee. Not that they can have any off games moving into the SEC schedule, right? But I think a lot of us have looked at it. It's only the second game of the year, the first home game. Think about that game compared to Virginia. After coming out of Virginia, we're pretty optimistic. And then coming out of Austin Peay, we're like, oh gosh, it's not going to be the season we thought it was. Like, you don't know that. And so we're going to go into Florida, and I think that all Tennessee fans should go into Florida with an open mindset, feeling just the way they were at the beginning of the season going into Virginia, because nobody knows what's going to happen. And I don't think that I'm praying that Austin Peay game is not indicative of the rest of Tennessee's season for sure.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about with this game is just that when Florida, just like we did, they played a lesser team in their home stadium. They played McNeese State after they had to go on the road in the first game of the season as well. And they did exactly to McNeese State what Tennessee should have done to Austin Peay. I think they won that game. I think they scored over 50 points, and they won that game in a massive blowout. So that's the only concerning thing there. But again, who knows? As Chloe said, by the end of the season, Austin Peay, it could turn out, could be one of the best teams of that division.
Austin Peay
could be
in the AP poll by the end of the season.
Not the well, they can't. But I mean, like the Fs. Well, they could be in the FCS polls possibly. And I mean, I was very impressed by the way they played. So who knows? The Governors in their level might end up being really, really good. Of course, I think it is important to note, though, the SEC, which has been the most dominant conference in football for the last 2 decades. But this season, they're kind of off to a rough start. And it's really the Pac-12 that's been incredible. Hilariously, in their last season of existence, they finally decided to do something. But the Pac-12 has 8 teams. 8 of the 12 teams are in the AP top 25 right now, which is just crazy. And the SEC as a whole has not looked all that great. Auburn barely beats Cal. Alabama loses to the fake UT. There's just a whole lot that is not going right for the SEC in general. I just wonder why this is. Why maybe it could just be just a weird, wild 2007 type year, possibly.
Yeah, it could be a lot of things, but sometimes the best of the best just has an off year. I think that this could be one of those years. I mean, there's a lot of rebuilding going on around the entire SEC right now. But the top teams looking a little bit under the weather with Alabama losing.
Texas A&M, too, which you banked on them winning, and they didn't either.
Yeah, although I never had any faith in Texas A&M to be that great. I just thought they would beat Miami, but Texas A&M is a bit of a joke of a team with Jimbo Fisher at the helm, and I don't think they can be taken seriously. But it's interesting around the SEC. And I mean, me personally, I don't even want to include the rest of the Pac-12 as the Pac-12 right now. It's just the Pac-2. I mean, we've seen how the rest of the conference treated Oregon State and Washington State. It's disrespectful. It's despicable. So for me, it's just the Beavs and the Cougs right now, and they have looked good.
Which are both ranked. They're both ranked in the top 25.
The Tupac is alive and well, and will be for the remainder of the season at least. But Wazoo beat Wisconsin, looked pretty good doing it. So it could just be a weird year for college football. It could be the NIL money coming into effect. It's a wild time to be a college football fan, and
for sure.
I was just going to say, hopefully the NCAA gets some new leadership, though, because they have been really dropping the ball lately.
Yeah. I mean, look at how they've been treating that North Carolina wide receiver, Tez Walker. It is absolutely ridiculous. And now the NCAA wants – I've already seen – I'm not even going to get too much into it, but they have played the victim card after they claim they received And obviously, I'm not endorsing any sort of, if you're sending death threats to people, that's not good at all. I'm not endorsing that. But it's like, really, NCAA, instead of actually taking into account of why you're receiving so much criticism, they just play this card of, oh, well, there's some people that are telling us, saying horrible things to us, so therefore we don't have to. It's like, come on, it's just the way they've handled this whole situation is just so ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was going to bring up something else as well. This is within the SEC now, right? I guess Alabama's lost to Texas. Well, not yet, not until next year. But Alabama's lost. Wait, yeah, Alabama's lost to Texas. How do you guys feel that this loss is going to affect the rest of Alabama's season, the rest of Alabama, of Nick Saban's time at Alabama? If it does affect it, if it does have an effect on it, what do you guys see this Texas game affecting in the long run? Are you a dramatic person who's like, oh, it's over for Alabama? Or in my case, I'm not dramatic. I'm just like hopeful. Or are you someone who's like, no, Alabama's will be back. Texas is just good this year.
To me, I'm kind of in the middle on this because for me, I think losing to Texas by 10 points at Tuscaloosa is kind of a brutal way to go out. But I don't think it's by any means the end of Saban's career. I still feel as though he has I'd say he's got a few years left in him. Maybe this is just a little just bump in the road, and who knows, they end up winning the Natty this year. Like, if that ends up happening, then everyone's going to look back at that game like, wow, we were foolish. Everyone's saying this is the end of Bama, so I don't know. I just feel like I'm kind of in the middle on it. Who knows, maybe this will be Nick Saban's last year. He just throws in the towel after this, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. I will say, guess which head coach Nick Saban is now about to go up against this weekend. Our very own Alex Golesh, who just beat him last year. Now he's the head coach of South Florida. They are going to go on the road to Alabama. If I was Alex Golesh, I'd be like, guys, come on, no problem. I literally just beat this team last year. They can't beat Bama. I literally just did it in like the greatest game of all time. So don't tell me that I can't do it because I literally just did it. And they literally just lost at home as well. So I think, who knows, maybe there's the potential for a huge upset. I tell you, like Alex Golesh, he's got South Florida. Then again, they were like a 1-11. I mean, he had like a Dion type of situation there as well. But the South Florida Bulls look a lot better. Maybe there is the potential for Alex Golesh to get it done again.
No.
Yeah.
I think any reaction that says the Bama dynasty is over is a little bit much, perhaps way too much right now. Nick Saban is done when Nick Saban says he's done. I don't know when that is, and I'm hoping it's soon, but he has solidified himself as the Dark Lord of college football, and fortunately, for better or worse, he is a phenomenal head coach and seems to find ways to always be in the top 5 conversation. And I don't think this year's any different. I think that Texas played a phenomenal game. Quinn Ewers really stepped up and looked like a really Heisman caliber quarterback playing that well in that situation. I just think that the issue right now at Bama is quarterback troubles, and Nick Saban usually has some kind of magic snake oil back there to fix his quarterback troubles, but we'll see if it works out.
Alabama's quarterback troubles and their defensive line got dominated by Texas's offensive line. That's one of the most shocking things from that game. I mean, when Texas needed to run the football, boom, 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 run the football. It was working so well throughout that game. So I don't know what to make of that right there. But yeah, they're certainly but they seem very beatable. The SEC as a whole, I mean, hey, anybody, maybe it could be us. We could possibly win the SEC this year. The annoying thing is we don't really know what Georgia is really made of until the end of the season because they play literally nobody this year up until the very end of the year. Georgia only plays 2 ranked teams right now the entire season, and we're one of them. And the only other one is Ole Miss, which happens right before they play us. So Georgia literally, if everything holds, they do not play a ranked team until week 10. I mean, that's just so absurd. Because I could rant about that forever, but that is absurd.
Yeah, Georgia definitely. I don't want to say. I mean, they do have it easy. They're, I think most agreeably the best team in college football right now, and they're playing not difficult teams. So it's But before we moved on from this segment, I wanted to say really quick, let's go around. Let's do winner, loser, score predictions. I'm also going to put in a plug for an article that Tucker wrote on the Rock Solid Sports website that does a deep dive into the Florida football team. If anyone was interested in learning a little bit more about Florida on Saturday, talks about, all just a deep dive into the 2023 Florida Gators. Before that, let's go. I won't start us off. Wait, I'll start us off. I'll say Tennessee wins, and I'll say it's similar to last year. Florida right there at the end last year could have had it on. I won't even say a miracle. There was a pass when they could have had it right there at the end to beat us. But I'm going to say maybe like a 1-2 score game. Tennessee beats Florida. Let's do like 32 to like 24. That'll be my score.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I feel like it's going to be a very close game. I mean, it is in the swamp, so I think, to me, it'll be a little bit higher. I'm going to go 35 to 30. UT pulls it off.
I think I'm going to have to stick in around the same range. I think that this Vols offense, unfortunately, hasn't looked too capable of going over 40, unless Josh Heupel's been hiding the playbook somewhere that no one has been able to find. I think that this game's going to be right around, I don't know, give me 35 to 20. UT wins.
I'm gonna say Tennessee 38 and Florida 21. That's what I'm gonna say right there. I think they end up pulling away late and end up winning relatively comfortably.
I hope so. I think if we had anyone else on this show, like from the show on here, we would have had someone picking Tennessee to lose, and I wouldn't have called them crazy. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. But Tennessee, I'm really hoping, and I'm really thinking that they come out and prove all the doubters, the negative Vol fans wrong. Because at the end of the day, right now, we are still 2-0, even though we're negative about how that game went. I don't know. I think Tennessee can come out and get it, and everyone will have high hopes again. With that, we're going to take it to our next segment, last segment, NFL. We'll talk about Monday Night Football and what else happened this weekend. Stay tuned. You're listening to Volunteer Radio, 90.3 The Rock, UT's College of Rock.
Solid Sports broadcast at 7 p.m. Fieldhouse Social, search American craft food, beer, and coffee. Featuring UTN Pro Sports on digital TVs around the restaurant 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. FieldhouseSocial.com and their Facebook page for news and more.
90.3 The Rock thanks to UT Athletic Department for their support. The 2023 football Vols will play home games at Neyland Stadium against SEC rivals South Carolina, Georgia, Texas A&M, and others. allballs.com for info, with a link at WUTKradio.com. UT student ticket info is at bigorangetickets.utk.edu. 90.3 The Rock says, go Vols!
Rock thanks the One Knox Sporting Club soccer team for their support. One Knox plays all of their home matches at Regal Soccer Stadium on campus, and the season runs into October with matches against Memphis, Chattanooga, Lexington, and more USL League One opponents. Tickets, including UT student tickets and game day info, is at oneknoxsc.com. WUTK is proud to be a media partner with One Knox. Rock Solid Sports will be keeping up with One Knox soccer all season long. One Knox SC. We are one.
Volunteer Radio thanks to UT Athletic Department and the men's basketball program for their support. Coach Barnes' 9th season on the Summit includes home games against Kentucky, Vandy, and more at Thompson Bowling Arena. Allballs.com. Student ticket info and login is at bigorangetickets.utk.edu. That's TIX. Volunteer Radio says, go Vols basketball.
The Rock Bank's Cool Beans, 1817 Lake Avenue, 1 block south of the Strip, for sponsoring and hosting Monday night Rock Solid Sports broadcast at 7 p.m. Cool Beans is the campus headquarters for food, brews, pool, shot starts, sports, and more fun. Tuesday night is team trivia night, and Thursday nights are for bingo. CoolBeansBar.com or their Facebook page for more info.
Volunteer Radio receives support from Tennessee Smokies Baseball, the AA Southern League affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, whose 2023 regular season schedule features 6-game homestands Tuesdays through Sundays at nearby Smoky Stadium in Kodak against the Chattanooga Lookouts, Mississippi Braves, Birmingham Barons, and more. WUTK's Rock Solid Sports covers Smokies baseball all season long. SmokiesBaseball.com. Link up at WUTKRadio.com.
The Rock thanks the One Knox Sporting Club USL League One soccer team for their support. One Knox plays all of their home matches at Regal Soccer Stadium on campus, with the next match happening Saturday night, September 16th, when One Knox battles Greenville Triumph at 7:30 p.m. Tickets, including UT student tickets and game day info, is at oneknoxsc.com. And WTK is proud to be a media partner with One Knox. Rock Solid Sports will be keeping up with One Knox all season long. Go One Knox.
Hey y'all, this is Rhett Miller, and you're listening to 90.3 The Rock of the Hill.
The Rock thanks Knoxville Ice Bears Southern Professional Hockey League team for their support. Their 2023-24 home ice season from October through April includes games with Fayetteville, Huntsville, Roanoke, and more at the Civic Coliseum downtown. Single game and season tickets at KnoxvilleIceBears.com. Rock Solid Sports features Ice Bears Wednesdays with news and updates. Volunteer Radio says, go Ice Bears.
Knoxville, be sure to tune in Wednesday nights from 8 until 10 p.m. for The Alternative, sponsored by Bliss and Troy Mason Shoes on Gate Street and West Town Mall. And Bliss Home with the Gallery Shopping Center, also sponsored by Boyd's Chicken Grill, bar and live music venue in the heart of Knoxville's Old City. The Alternative features 2 hours of the best in Americana music from the station who first brought Knoxville music by bands from back in the alt-country days, like the Jayhawks, Uncle Tupelo, Steve Earle, and Jason and the Scorchers, to 90s Americana like the B-Boys, Whiskey Town, Lucinda Williams, Sunvold, and others, to modern-day Americana musicians like Molly Tuttle, Tyler Childers, Casey Musgrave, Sturgill Simpson, Billy Strings, and the Punch Brothers. You'll also get classic Americana like Johnny Cash, the band, and Emmylou Harris, and there's always Patsy Cline at 9. Tune in Wednesday nights at 8, Free Alternative. Sponsored by Boyd's Chicken Grill, Bliss Home, and Troy Mason Shoes, and only on 90.3 The Rock, QT's College of Rock.
Welcome back to Rock Solid Sports. It is Wednesday night. Me, Chloe, and Jackson. I'm Chloe. That made it sound like there's 3 of us. Myself, my name is Chloe, and Jackson are at Fieldhouse Social, our sponsor for tonight, at 2525 University Commons Way, right there down by Publix in the University Commons Shopping Center. And it is pretty good tonight. We still got trivia going on tonight. Always a great time. Last week we had a great time. We gave away some football tickets, hoping to give away more of those throughout the year. And, there was a big crowd here. It was great. Yeah, definitely a great time down at Fieldhouse Social. We'll get right into NFL. We'll start off with Monday night, since no one has quite covered that yet, because the Monday night show, of course, was before the game. So Buffalo Bills versus the Jets. Most notable thing in this game is Aaron Rodgers getting injured on, was it 3 plays in, you said?
3-4 plays in.
3 or 4 plays in the game. Season-ending injury.
A torn Achilles, I believe, is what they said.
Yeah, torn Achilles.
And, he's now gone for the entire season.
His first, beginning of the season for playing for a new team for Aaron Rodgers. How old is he? 38? 39? 39. Okay. But the Jets still won in overtime, 22-16. Both, a lot can be said about both quarterbacks throughout this game, but we'll start off with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, guys, what is going to happen, first of all, with Aaron Rodgers, and then what's going to happen with the Jets and their quarterback situation from here on out?
Achilles is just so hard to cover. I don't know if he can play football again after this. He can play, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to play at the highest level. So, it's a real tragedy to see a guy like that go down who's been really playing since I was a kid. I remember watching him on Monday nights, Thursday nights, Sunday nights, and he just always managed to impress. We had that discount double check era. That was weird. But just such a key part of my childhood personally, just having seen him so much as a celebrity and one of the best quarterbacks.
Yeah, he and as for who the Jets go with now, it's a mystery. For all we know, they could be sticking with Zach Wilson. They may try to find somebody else. There's been rumors about Colin Kaepernick coming back and playing for the Jets as well. So who knows what happens to the quarterback with the quarterback situation for the Jets? It's just up in the air at this point.
I personally feel like this is Zach Wilson's last chance. I think they are going to stick with Wilson because, in my opinion, just because of his ceiling, and in reality, he didn't play that bad of a game as well. I mean, his playmakers made him look really incredible. Garrett Wilson, one of the best catches I've ever seen, period, in that game, touchdown catch. But I think Zach Wilson ended up having a pretty solid game at the end of the day, so I think they will stick with him. I think they're going to say, you know what, Zach? You know, we maybe thought your career was possibly over or your career was just be a career backup, but you know what? Weird circumstances have happened now, and now this is your last shot. If I was the coaching staff, I'd be telling them, this is it right here. We have a great team, one of the best, arguably the best defense in the entire NFL. We've got some of the best playmakers in the entire NFL, a couple of some of the best running backs in the entire NFL. I would tell him right now, it's like, this is your chance to shine and get your career back on track. He's still young, so there is a chance if he absolutely plays incredible this season, who knows, it might just be the end for Aaron Rodgers' career and Zach Wilson's career gets revitalized. We're talking about this years later, like almost like a I don't want to say Bledsoe Brady. That's not really not even close to the same thing. But you know what I'm saying? Like we could be talking about this years later of Wilson's career was almost over, but then this crazy thing happened. So at the end of the day, I think he is going to be the guy, and the Jets are going to stick with him. And who knows? It could have a lot of success. So I'm still holding out. But again, crazy game. The fact that the Jets won. The fact that the Jets won that game despite losing Aaron Rodgers that early, because Jordan Whitehead had 3 interceptions. Josh Allen was not efficient at all. Threw 3 interceptions. He did not want to throw to Sauce Gardner's side, so instead he throws it over the top and it gets intercepted by Whitehead over and over and over. He fumbles the ball away. They still kick a game-tying field goal that bounces off the upright and barely goes in, and then a rookie from Stephen F. Austin University, Xavier Gibson, returns it all the way to the house for a game-winning touchdown. Unbelievable. One of the craziest games of all time.
Yeah, I think the Bills. Go ahead, Dom.
You can go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the Bills really did something crazy in this one or not the Bills, sorry, the Jets. Opposite, you know what I mean? I think the Jets really did something crazy in this one for sure. On the topic of Josh Allen with the Bills, which is what I was meaning to say, that's I don't know. That was just weird to see them not pull out. Well, it was also similarly as I wish we had more time to talk NFL with the Bengals as well. We saw things like that. So maybe we talk about this in college football, but also in pro football, weird things are happening. And it's only week 1 as well. The Titans lost by 1 point to the Saints this weekend. Titans scored no touchdowns, only field goals. Yeah.
They decided to kick a field goal with 2.5 minutes left when they're down by 4 points. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Obviously, 4D chess, but they actually do. So.
Well, it's actually the only way the Titans know how to score. So he was taking advantage of the fact that he knew they couldn't score a touchdown. So you got to get 2 field goals somehow.
Yeah. Hey, he's thinking long game. He's thinking long game with this one.
So that was definitely disappointing for us Titan fans. One last thing, Josh Dobbs started for the Cardinals this week. They lost, unfortunately. What was the finals? Can someone remind me of the final score really quick of that game?
20-16.
20-16, not so bad. However, Josh Dobbs did have some moments there for sure. We'll cut him some slack. We love Josh Dobbs, and it's his first game starting for the Cardinals.
And he was far from the worst quarterback. Like,
yes,
far from it. So.
Absolutely. I wish him nothing but luck with them. It's really exciting for sure.
And real quick before we're done, too, I just want to say about Zach Wilson, I would believe everything you said, Devin, if I thought he was a good quarterback. I do not think that Zach Wilson is the answer, man. I don't know what the Brigham Young University has sold you, but I think it's a bunch of lies.
He's got the ceiling. He's got the talent. It's just
Does
can
he,
he put it
though?
all together?
Does
he
he?
does. Well, I mean, we saw it firsthand when he came to Neyland Stadium and won that one game. But Tennessee was at a low point at that time. That is true. But still, it'll be interesting to see for sure. It's going to be a wild, wild football season. That's for sure.
Absolutely, both college and professional. We'll be back with you on Friday. Friday Crew will be with you for live from the studio. Tonight we are live from Fieldhouse Social at 2525 University Commons Way. Trivia going on still. Great place to be. We thank them so much for their support. Stay tuned. The Alternative is up next on Volunteer Radio 90.3 The Rock, UT's College of Rock.